What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bioestry Raw TV. Today we got something very different. We'll go over a supplement that my company makes, JFT Labs, called Primoxine. Now, Primoxine is a non-stim pre-workout. We released this a couple of years ago. It's a product that is hard for most people to understand. Most people don't understand what this product is because it's not your typical loaded with caffeine, throw a couple frills in there, put it on the market, make you feel jittery, and all of a sudden you have more energy. Now, if you go back through the breakdown of Primoxine when I debuted it, that video is still on this channel, we're going to go over some of that information, but we're going to go over one of these things where I like to say that sometimes I'm crazy until years later that I'm proven right. And Primoxine is yet another one of those circumstances. So we're going to put this down so I have to hold it anyways. So Primoxine, I wanted to come out with a pre-workout. I said I wouldn't come out with a pre unless it was different. And I learned very quickly that these high-stim pre-workouts that stimulate your central nervous system, which do not, and let's go through it again, do not have the same effect of firing the muscle fibers in order, whereas you didn't have a stim. Using something that stimulates your central nervous system will fire more fibers at a time, which gives you more energy, more strength per se. But when you're overloading the muscle, not in a certain rep range, meaning you're not hitting those type 2B fibers, which are the ones that really grow, that give you the most amount of size and potential strength, you're bypassing those. Now, the way I can explain it, and many people, they can't grasp that concept, they don't really know what I'm talking about, but remember that you hear about these things where, or these instances where like a car falls on a kid or runs over a kid's leg, and the mom reaches down and picks up the fucking car and pulls the kid out and drops the car, and is like, how the fuck did I just do that? Like, she picked up a fucking car. None of you motherfuckers taking stim workouts are in there picking up cars in the fucking gym. I'm just saying. But how is that possible? Well, the central nervous system combined with adrenaline can fire so many fibers at one time that will allow for that car to be picked up. That doesn't mean she just built muscle. It means that your body has a failsafe in it when in times that it's in danger or in need or in some kind of emergency like that, can fire those fibers all at once to get that burst of strength that may be quote-unquote superhuman. Now, how does that work? The central nervous system fires those. When you do a max lift, right, it taxes your central nervous system more than it taxes your muscular system. Meaning when you have 3 sets of 10 to 12, you're going to be really fatigued when you're done with those 3 sets, muscle-wise. You're going to feel it in the muscle. If you do 3 sets of 1 rep maxed out, your entire system is exhausted. Why? Because it hits your central nervous system, not necessarily your muscular system. It works 2 different pathways to create that energy to be able to fire a certain amount of fibers to get your body to be able to lift a certain amount of weight. Now that all gets confusing. So, by firing your central nervous system, you actually build less muscle, regardless of what you think. You're not firing the fibers in order. The muscle fibers need to be fired in order, so you're looking at a 10 to 12 rep range as far as muscular hypertrophy, which hit those type 2B fibers, which are not the fibers that are necessarily what you use for endurance, which is like 15, 20, 30 reps, the red muscle fibers. These are specifically the white muscle fibers that hold the most potential for size and strength, which is what you want, which is where you should be training. Now, that being said, I said, well, what is going to fuel that 10 to 12 rep range where you can handle more weight and you will not fatigue as much, right? Because if you can push a little bit harder through that 10 to 12 with a little more weight and generate more intensity and more effort, you're going to get a better response. So if you take the stims out of it, then what do you need for that to happen? Well, the first product or the first nutrient was creatine. It's the most studied thing out there. Hands down, it's one of the best things that they've ever created as far as an ergogenic supplement. Now, the thing is, creatine, although it's been studied for a long time, there are responders and non-responders. Now, that's a whole separate video that I've done. There are people that respond really well to creatine, ones that don't respond well to creatine. And I believe that is creatine saturation naturally in the muscles. Some people don't have a lot of creatine, therefore adding creatine, they see results. Some people actually saturate a lot of creatine in their muscles. When they add creatine, they don't see much. Responders and non-responders, there is a reason for that. Now, all that being said, this is going to be a very educational video. I added something to this product, which some people, they can't even comprehend. Because it's not just about what you add, it's why you add it and how much you add it and what you add it to. Bear with me. So we have creatine in here, right? Creatine monohydrate. Now, what else is something that produces energy? Real energy. I'm not talking about a stimulation to the central nervous system. Carbohydrates. So we have a carbohydrate blend in here also, right? So we have carbs in here. We have 10 grams of carbohydrates in this product, right? Which is not a ton, but it's enough to give you a push through your workout, right? Because you should have already had your carbs, etc. You know, in matter of fact, you can use an intro with more carbs to give you more energy if you wanted to, but we're going to say just with this product right here. The 10 grams of carbs will help give your body energy. Now, what is the other ingredient that I put in? Well, there's two other ingredients besides creatine and carbohydrates that I put in here. That, okay, one of them is pyruvate, which many people understand. One of them is inosine, which many people do not understand. They can't comprehend what inosine is, because when you look up what inosine is and what it does, it's not clear how it would fit in a pre-workout. Now, there's some people that have speculated that inosine should never be in a pre-workout. Nobody should ever use inosine. Now, I'm going to agree that using inosine on its own for bodybuilding purposes is less than spectacular. But I have seen people use inosine. We used to use it at Daniel Chapter 1 all the time with athletes back in the 90s. Now again, we were way ahead of the curve, though I should say Jim Figio was way ahead of the curve. The inosine gave much better endurance. Now when creatine came along, creatine kind of took the place of inosine. It seemed to be a product that was sexier. People understood it. It was marketed. It seemed to be something that was, it was cutting edge. It was like this new stuff. Now, here's what I had learned about creatine that I think was really falling by the wayside. I look at creatine and say, okay, you start taking creatine, you see results for a little bit, right? And then those results kind of plateau and level out a little bit. Now, my first question was, is that an adaptation? Is that saturation in the muscle due to the creatine? What is the reason for that plateau? Of course, we just can't keep going straight up all the time. And the more research that I did, inosine, of course, is a precursor to ATP. ATP is what creatine turns into. That is the molecule that creates all of the energy. So when you take creatine monohydrate, which, by the way, creatine phosphate is what actually creates ATP, but the phosphate molecule is too big to get through the stomach, so we use a monohydrate molecule that can go through the stomach and pass through intact, digested. Once you take creatine monohydrate, you see a boost in performance, right? When you see it starting to level out, what happens that people really don't understand is when you start to take in creatine, the body starts to reduce the inosine levels. To make up for the fact that it has so much creatine, it reduces the inosine levels because it no longer needs all those inosine because you're filling it with creatine nonstop every day. So it starts to plateau very quickly. Well, what happens if you increase the inosine levels back to normal again? You have a prolonged curve instead of a flat curve like this. It's a prolonged curve that takes longer to happen. Your body has more ways to create ATP, generate more real energy, create better true strength in the gym, 10 to 12 reps, not your 1 rep max, it's not the same thing, and can train and fatigue the muscle with more weight for longer periods of time, hence giving you better gains. The inosine was the missing ingredient to make the creatine work longer. For some reason, we thought adding grape juice and using insulin and all this crazy shit, adding sugars and stuff, that's what we were trying to do, trying to boost the creatine. To boost the creatine, you add a small amount of inosine. Now, there are people that say, well, Jerry, inosine can cause gout. Do you know how much inosine you have to take in to cause gout? You would have to take in like 10 scoops of this shit a day in order for that to happen. But the kicker is, while you're on creatine, which is in this product also, your inosine levels drop. So all you're doing is supplementing them back to normal levels, which is not above what you would normally have, which could possibly cause gout or other things. Now, Jerry, why would you put something that could possibly cause an adverse reaction? Look, if you drink 5 gallons of water in 2 hours, you will die. You will drown. You will literally die. Your plasma will become so you will drop dead from 5 gallons of water. Do we tell you not to drink water? We tell you to drink a gallon a day. It's the same exact concept. If you overdo creatine, you will shit your brains out I've done it. You will shit your brains out like never before for like 24 hours. If you take too much inosine, could you possibly get gout? Possibly. If you take too much of this, if you take too much, it's not about the maximum dosage you can take of everything. That's why I try to get through to people. Everybody seems to think, well, the study said this, so we're going to take that dose. When you create a supplement, you formulate a supplement, you have to think about the other things that are in that supplement, how they work together, what they do together, how one interacts and counteracts the other one. So therefore, you don't need to take in a whopping dose of inosine in order to get it to work, to do what you want it to do, like you would if you were taking inosine alone. It's a synergy together with the creatine. The creatine, the inosine, and the pyruvate all create ATP. ATP is what you want. That is our energy molecule. That is what gives you true energy and true strength. There are 3 things in Primatene that do that. And get this, glucose also gets broken down into create energy, actual energy, not stimulation, which are 2 different things. So Primatene is something that I'm super proud of. I'm very proud of. As a matter of fact, we're sold out of the product. We've sold out of the product, and we're getting more in. This is the mango nut pineapple. We have the popsicle flavor coming in very soon. People can't wrap their heads around what this does, and I'm hoping that over time people are going to see. Now, again, I delved into this and I learned about, well, why does creatine, when you're taking it, why do you plateau so fast? What happens? And I learned that when you take the inosine, it allows that creatine to work even more. Now that was 5 or 6 years ago that I was putting this together. Inosine was something I used back 25 years ago. Creatine was something fairly new, and they haven't really been combined. I wanted to look into it because they're two things that naturally occur in our body. If we can harness the power of those two things, we're going to get a better result. Now, August 20th, 2021, researchgate.net. This was a published study. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this over here. It's on my other computer over here. And this actually came out in 2005 and was republished in 2021, revisited 2021 by, let's see, Glenn McConnell, Terry Stevens, Christos Strathis, and Joanna Shrewell. They did a meta-study on creatine supplementation reduces muscle inosine during endurance exercise in humans. So, back in 2005, they knew that when you supplemented creatine, that your inosine levels fell. Now, I didn't see this study. This is not something I found until recently. But I went with what the body does biologically. If it does this, this makes sense to try this. And what I did was I just tested it. That's it. Now they're coming out and saying, hey, this is a fact. When you take creatine supplementation, it lowers your inosine. Well, here's the deal. When I go on testosterone replacement therapy from my doctor, and I take testosterone injections, my testosterone naturally falls just like the inosine because I'm supplementing testosterone from an external source. So what does a doctor do? The doctor gives me human chorionic gonadotropin, HCG, to bring my natural levels back up and keep them stable while the outside source is added. Same concept with Primatene. Same concept. You take the external creatine, your inosine levels start to drop. You supplement your inosine levels back up to keep them where they are here. And instead of having your curve here, your curve goes like this. It's much more gradual, and you get more out of your creatine, you get more out of the product, you get more out of your workouts, and you get better results. Period. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take for people to catch on with this. I don't know if it's going to take, I'll be honest with you, many of the things that I do, it takes people 5 to 7 years to figure out what's going on. It's been 3 years now that we've had the product out. And again, it's one of these things that we do sell out of it. People love it. They ask for it all the time. But the mainstream really isn't down with it yet. They're not understanding that to get better gains, it's not just about stimulating your central nervous system. Because if that was true, everybody could just go out there and do cocaine and they get gigantic, right? That's not the way that works. All these motherfuckers slamming these pre-workouts left and right with all these stims don't look any different. They don't get any stronger. They come out of there all wired out of their skull like, oh, I had a great workout. What the fuck, dude? Listen, you know what a great workout is? When 6 months you look back and all of a sudden you're drastically different than you were 6 months before, then you had good workouts. When you look back and you're the fucking same 6 months later, you didn't have good workouts. You weren't doing shit. You were spinning your fucking wheels in the gym, period. Now, looking at it from that perspective, what do you want to do? Do you want to spin your fucking wheels? Or do you want to go in there and do what you need to do to get the best results? Why would you want to waste your fucking time and effort in the gym thinking you're doing something when you're not? In this, what I just explained to you, all the fucking studies, science-based. Go and show me a science-based study anywhere that shows when you take these pre-workout supplements with all this caffeine and shit, that it gives you greater muscle gains over time. Go show me any of these studies that tell you that if you take it for a week, you'll have better workouts that are more productive based on muscle protein synthesis and muscle gain than you would if you weren't taking the stims. Show me that data. Because all I see is a bunch of people popping stims and fucking spinning their wheels in circles for years at a time. They're not getting gains. They're not doing better. Now, of course, you go in the gym and you have to push yourself. You have to rely on yourself. You're not stimmed out of your mind like a fucking meth addict in the gym trying to do your workouts. This product is created to give your body true natural energy the way your body produces it specifically for bodybuilding and weightlifting purposes, period. Powerlifting, what do you think you use? ATP, CP, that's the pathway you use to get your lifts. That's the area that you train in specifically to get your power. ATP and CP. This product increases ATP production over a prolonged period of time during the workout, which lets you train harder. If you train harder, as long as you're recovering, you will get better results. So it doesn't matter whether you're just lifting weights as a weekend warrior. It doesn't matter whether you're a competitor in the bodybuilding realm. It doesn't matter if you're a power lifter, It doesn't matter. The way this is set up is to fuel your body in the gym while weight training, no matter what it is, with the fuel that all humans use, ATP. hopefully this clears some stuff up, and we will have this in stock very soon. Hopefully. It's been a while. Again, you know, producing these things take time, and we do sell out. So if this is something you want to try, you can use the code GIFT15 on BioStrayTraining.com to get 15% off if you want to try it. We also offer this in a stack. So the Peri-Workout stack has Primoxine, composed also with Intrapost. So you have your pre-workout, then your Intrapost that you drink intra, you start sipping it intra, and then you finish it after your workout, and it covers that entire window before and after your training to give your body the nutrition it needs and the support it needs to train harder, build as much muscle you can as in a short amount of time possible, and recover and make sure that your body is growing and you're not wasting your time doing workouts that you think are doing something, but the scale doesn't show it. Give it a try, guys. BioStrayTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BioStrayTraining.com is a blog. It's the ahead of the curve again bicep curve, and we are out.